If you have an interest in horses and love learning more about horses, the horse industry, teaching, or even managing your own horse business, then you're in the right place. We would love you to join us on our mission, which is to improve the lives of horses around the world through the education of riders, handlers, and trainers. So get comfortable, listen in, and enjoy.
Our guest today is Sam Lyle. Sam's an eventing specialist rider, coach, trainer and competitor up to 4-star. He's also the assistant Olympic coach in Beijing and at the World Championships. How are you, Sam?
Yeah, good, thanks, Glenys.
Good. Have you got a quote or something to start us off with today, Sam?
Look, I don't actually have a quote that I've sort of lived by or trained or taught by. It's sort of more of a philosophy, I guess. It's just based around things I've seen and books I've read on different successful people. Mm-hmm. It's about not letting failures get you down or sort of knock you down too hard. Especially in eventing, it is a sport of lots of highs and lots of lows, and it's really important to sort of take your failures or your things that have gone wrong and learn from them rather than let them get you down. So that's sort of more of a philosophy than a quote, I guess.
So with your own students, though, I'm sure you impart that philosophy to them.
Yeah, look, it's certainly something I try and live by myself, but also encourage the people I coach to do the same.
Mm-hmm. Good. Now, Sam, tell us about your earliest memories with horses and how you started.
Look, I started pretty late, actually. I'd sort of ridden once or twice on a farm that I went and stayed at as a kid when I was 10 or something, or 8 or something like that, I'm not sure. But when I was about 13, 14 years old, my mum bought a little 5-acre farm down in an area called Foxground on the New South Wales south coast. Yep. And it happened to be more or less opposite a eventing coach, Simon Cale.
Yes, I was going to say Foxground, that's down where Simon lives, yep.
yeah, like we're pretty much opposite him. My sisters got right into it, and look, I was a surf kid. I wanted to go to the beach and windsurf all the time, and got to the point where Mum wouldn't drive me anymore to the beach, and being 13, 14, I couldn't get there on my own, and my sisters are into the horse game, so I thought, well, I better give this a go as well. That's
a good start, and lucky you went to a good coach to get you started as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely they got into it, but living basically across the road from Simon, he was very influential and charismatic and the whole thing, and sort of did really, I guess, get my interest going in it.
Now, when you were a 13 or 14-year-old, because you'd already ridden a couple of times on a farm, did you think you could ride?
Oh, look, I don't know. No, I was pretty hopeless.
Okay.
I mean, I got into it very quickly. So we had a little horse came with the farm, and I used to ride him a bit, and I was always trying to do better than my sisters. So, like, pretty quickly I went to a riding camp at Simon's, and then we'd have little jumping competitions at home, and they'd ridden a fair bit more than me at this stage, but I was always trying to jump higher or do it better than them. So, look, I think I gave Simon a few grey hairs tearing around his property out of control, but I did try and progress quite quickly through it all.
And then what about having a career with horses? Was it something that at that stage you saw Simon being a professional, you decided to be a professional, or something happened a bit later? How did that work out?
I'm not sure if I consciously decided. Simon was definitely a professional. He was a hard worker. He was always off doing coaching or riding. I saw him really work hard at being an equestrian, I guess. So that was something I took from him. And once I left school, I just wanted to ride as much as I could. And then there comes a point when you become a younger adult where you feel you need to make your own money. You can't rely on parents to support you. So I'd try and do whatever I could, whether it was ride some polo ponies for the guy across the road, or teach a lesson, or take on the most wild feral horse for schooling. Just whatever I could to try and start earning my own way a bit.
Yep. And what do you think people at start off, what do you think the core skills that you had when you were very first starting with your riding, before you really thought it was going to be a career, core skills and character traits you had that made you successful?
I'm not sure about core skills, to be honest. I do seem to remember from a pretty early stage, I could sort of see a distance okay. So I took to jumping certainly a lot more naturally than I took to dressage and the flatwork side of things. As far as character traits, I loved it. So we would be at this farm on the weekends and the holidays, and I'd get up as early as I could, and I'd want to go and do as much horse stuff as I could, whether that was muck out the yards of the horses or go and work at Simon's place, or, you know, I genuinely really love being involved with it and the horses. And I think if you want to look at it as a career, it needs to be a real passion and something that you just feel you have to do.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, you said earlier on that you could see a distance okay. What other skills do you have and other top competitors? You know, because you're rubbing shoulder with top competitors all the time. What do they have above the riders that are sort of getting around to 1 star or getting around sort of the local competitions? What do you have and what do they have that sets them above the rest?
Look, it's probably slightly different for each person. Will have sort of a strength in their riding compared to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
I think firstly, to ride at the higher levels of eventing, you do need a bit of bravery. You need a bit of gung-ho, sort of that ability to get it done and make it happen and get to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
I've taught plenty of people that in their hearts they're sort of brave to pre-novice and 1 star and that's it, and that's fantastic. They will love the sport and get a huge amount out of it. So you definitely need to, particularly I think for eventing, have a degree of bravery, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also need a lot of dedication. I think the big thing is to get to those higher levels, you need to be really committed and really try to be professional about it and pay attention to a lot of the small details. Your horse's shoeing, veterinary feed, making sure of little things like they don't have a boot rub, just that attention to detail does really sort of help you get to those next levels.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then what do you think is the best thing about being in the horse industry?
Obviously, it's the working with the horses.
Mm.
I do enjoy being my own boss.
Yep.
Definitely, my wife and I, we have a property, and being my own boss on it, it's got its disadvantages as well. But I do like waking up and going outside, and I'm at work. I don't have to commute, and I don't have to go and answer to people.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But ultimately, it's the working with horses. It's the getting to be part of their lives and try and train them, and the enjoyment that brings you when you go well with them.
Yep.
And that partnership you can bond with them. It sounds a bit cheesy to say that. That partnership, that's some of my best parts of the sport, are when you feel you're really going great together with a horse that you've put a lot of time and training into, and he or she, you know, the horse is trying really hard for you, and you feel that connection with it.
Yep. All right. Now, you talked about Simon being someone who's influenced you. Who else has influenced you in your career?
I've been lucky to have a lot of good coaches. I think Australia in general we're really blessed to have great coaches here. I've sort of been to England for a couple of years, and I've lived in Germany and Holland a bit, which is great. I've got things out of those, but the majority of the things I've learnt in our sport are from Australia. And like I said, we're blessed to have really, really good coaches here. I mean, I went and did some time with Robert Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
So I sort of started my training with Simon and then had a few lessons with different coaches, and then went and spent a considerable amount of time at Robert's place. So, and his wife at the time, Debbie, as well. And but particularly Robert had a huge influence on my show jump riding and coaching.
Okay.
But then Wayne Roycroft, he was a huge sort of help in my career, and particularly my coaching, a big supporter. And just the horseman, just his horsemanship is something that I envy. I'm not the horseman that he is, or, you know, unfortunately I probably never will be.
Mm-hmm.
But then someone like Heath and Prue and Craig and what they've contributed to our sport and helped me as well.
Yep.
As it's heaps of people who played a part.
Yep. What about horses?
Horses. Look, I've had some really good ones.
Yep.
Certainly my first couple, which were bought sort of through Simon, or one of them was a horse, Foxground Findara, that Simon had campaigned to 1 star level, and then another one we bought through Simon, Foxground Dusky Song. They were my first 2 horses that got me through to ultimately 3 and 4 star level. And look, I look back on them and I took them for granted, I guess, just how good they were and how much they helped me and taught me and what good jumpers they were. They, I guess, were in a way probably the 2 biggest influences on my career, because I think if I hadn't had them and had horses with that talent to make the mistakes on and to learn the riding at the higher levels, I may or may not have continued in the sport. But I've had some other very good horses since then, but I'd say those 2 played the biggest role in helping me get into the sport for sure.
So you place a pretty high importance then on getting horses that can take riders around. How old were you when you had them?
Look, I was lucky. So I started riding at 13 or 14 and probably Findara who called Nani, probably about 16.
Mm-hmm.
So I sort of, within 2 years, was riding 1 star on him, and then another year or two later than that, doing 2 and 3 stars on him.
Yep.
And he was just an unbelievable horse. So when he retired from eventing, he then went to Jamie Coleman's daughter and then Rod Brown's daughter, and they both jumped junior national show jump classes on him. I think one might have won and one was second, one of the 2 girls.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a lovely, lovely horse. And I was lucky to get him really early on and do my first, 1 stars, 2 stars, first everything really on him.
Yeah. What do you think your proudest moment's been?
Proudest moments. Look, I guess some of my biggest successes came too many years ago now. I remember doing the Sydney Test event, which obviously that's nearly 20 years ago, I think.
Mm.
And I had a horse there that was really green, and I rode him around the 2 star, and it was sort of a big deal for us going to this new venue, and everyone was so excited about the Olympics. And I sort of came away from that event. I finished 3rd, but behind 2 way more experienced and very good horses. I just remember coming away thinking I've just done the very best I possibly could have in all 3 phases, and how I felt really like I'd really achieved something. It was a very good horse, but just to have done the very best I could in all three disciplines was great. And I think that's probably the thing I like most about the sport, or one of the times I enjoy most, is when you come particularly off the cross country, but it can be in any of the 3 disciplines, and you just know that horse that you've played a big role in training has given everything he could for you to go the best he could that day.
Yeah. All right, now you talked about, challenges. What do you think your biggest challenge been to get to where you are now?
I think it's the balancing of everything that's involved. So, like, I've had a desire to want to make my own living. I've been lucky. My mum's definitely helped me and supported me. I couldn't have done it without her, but there's always been that burning desire to also make your own way.
Mm-hmm.
And so the mix of trying to blend, life commitments and the mortgage and supporting the family and wanting to ride really good horses, and at the end of the day, trying to be an elite level athlete competitor in any sport's quite selfish. And so it's a mix of trying to blend that selfishness with also being there with the family and all the things that are involved in life, getting the right balance.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So what hints or what have you got that you can tell some of our listeners who might be struggling with the same type of questions?
About trying to get the balance right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a tough one. I guess it comes down to each person needs to work it out a bit for themselves. I mean, advice definitely to people would be try and ride the best horses you can.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got the sort of balance, will do you sell them or not sell them? Obviously, if you're riding a really good horse, you can be offered reasonable money, and so you've got to make that decision, and so that's something each person has to work out for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely trying to find time to do things you want to do. I remember thinking, I couldn't possibly miss that event because it's, you can't miss one event. Really, in hindsight, it doesn't matter so much. There's other things that can be more important.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess the advice is for people to sort of sit back and think what's really important to them. And if getting to that top elite Olympic level is number one, then they're going to have to sacrifice somewhere else. And being okay with that sacrifice, working out in yourself, righto, I'm doing, my number one goal is to compete the Olympics, so maybe I can't sell that horse and therefore I can't buy the property and I have to work a job I don't like so much. You've got to sacrifice somewhere, and so being okay with the sacrifice to get to what you really want.
Yep. Putting on your coach's cap, what's a common fault you see with riders and how to fix it? Something that the listeners can take away, something that you see common as a coach, and it might be a bit of an overview and then some information what they can do about it.
The common fault, I guess, with the jumping cross-country, or a thing that can be really influential, is getting your line right to the fence. So I talk to people about, it's really important to get your pace right and your line right to the fence.
Okay.
You see a lot of people in the cross-country will come around the turn, a little bit unbalanced, cut their corner and angle across the fence, and the horse will glance off it.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll get organised, come back, get square, straight to the fence and jump straight over it, get their horse's eye on it properly and they jump it. So I guess that way to fix that is just to make time on your approach to make sure you've got your balance so the horse isn't running away on you, has time to look at the fence and get straight to the jump, perpendicular, sort of 90 degrees to the middle of the jump, gives you the best chance for the horse to jump it.
Oh, hang on a sec. Let me interrupt to let people know about the horse industry qualifications at onlinehorsecollege.com. If you have a look at the flexible options, there's online theory and the practical components can be completed by video or with a qualified expert in your area. That website again is onlinehorsecollege.com. Okay, thanks.
Is it something that, walking the course, you've got to consider that when you're walking the course?
Yeah, I mean, the more experienced riders can sort of stand there in the middle of the show jump course and look, there's one, there's two, there's three, there's four, and wing it for the course, and they'll probably do those basic things right. Certainly the less experienced riders do need to absolutely walk the course and plan their corners and think, I'm going to come out here and I'm going to make my approach there and get wide here on the turn so the horse can get his eye on the fence. And it's the same for cross country when I'm walking with less experienced people. I tell them, don't just walk, here's number one, there's number two. You've got to actually walk. I'm going to walk here and this is where I'm going to ride and I'm going to come out and then my horse can see the fence here and then I'm going to land and go down between those two trees and then I'm going to stay out and there's number three. So absolutely, when you walk the course, you can plan where you want to ride to get straight to the fence. Yep.
Okay, Sam, now have you got a book that you can recommend to our listeners just to complement their training?
The German dressage one is the Principles of Riding.
Yep.
That's definitely a good basic overview. I haven't read, I found in my own riding, my own learning, I'm not great at reading a book and then going and sitting on the horse and going, that's what you do. I was reading a thing the other day about the half halt and I got it intellectually, everything that was being said, and then I went out and I rode the next day, and I have to say I don't think I rode any better. I'm much better at practicing and trying to feel it and things like that. So I haven't read a lot of books about riding, but definitely that is one I have read, and it does give you a good fundamental appreciation of it.
Yeah, okay. All right, that's good. Now, Sam, what are you looking forward to at the moment? What does your future hold?
I'm actually really excited about this year. I've got a couple of new horses, and that's something that part of that getting the balance right. And I want to really think it's important for young riders as well to make sure they get on the right horses and good horses. And so I'm trying to do that myself. Get on some that are some better horses and try and beat people like Shane a bit more. So I've got a few this year that I'm excited about. So I'm actually really fired up for this season to see how they go.
Good. All right, now, just in a few sentences, just summarise your philosophy with horses.
Look, I guess I look at it as it's our job as riders to try and teach the horse to understand what we want them to do. So across the three disciplines of eventing, the common thing that I think about is my job is to try and teach the horse to understand what I want them to do when I ask them. So trying to be clear with the age that if you put your left leg on, you expect them to move their body to the right or whatever it is. Just try to be very clear with what you're asking so that it's easier for them to understand what you expect of them.
Okay.
That would be my overall philosophy.
All right, that sounds fairly straightforward, and I'm sure that with practice...
Yeah, it's easier, much easier to say sometimes than to...
Yeah, but I suppose if you've got that underlying philosophy, it's easy then to just build on that. Yeah. Now, Sam, how can people contact you?
Look, we have a website, lyleequestrian.com, I think it is. Lyle Equestrian, it comes up, and there's a Facebook page as well.
We'll get those links and put them on your page at Horse Chats, which will be horsechats.com/Sam Lyle, or else just go to horsechats.com and search for Sam. Sam, thanks very much for talking to us today. I'm sure that your level of expertise, people will want to listen to this a couple of times just to make sure that they've got all the details that you've been able to give us. And, certainly appreciate your time. It's been great talking to you, so thank you.
Pleasure. Thanks, Glennis.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, wait, before you go, if you're an equestrian coach or a horse riding instructor, or even if you aspire to be one, have a look at the free video series for horse riding instructors on the Horse Chats website. Go there now, have a look. horsechats.com.
Remember that our comments and instructions are general in nature and do not take into consideration your individual horses or your individual ability and circumstances. If you enjoyed this podcast, then please leave your comment below.